I have to admit, when I first picked up the source material for today's deep dive, I did a double take.
Oh, yeah.
Because usually, when we talk about faith or theology, the conversation drifts toward the perks.
Sure. Grace, forgiveness, all the benefits.
Exactly. It's like you get the gold card, access to the VIP lounge.
Yeah.
You kind of get this, my dad owns the dealership feeling.
That's the standard narrative, for sure. The idea of being chosen implies special treatment.
Right. You figure if you're on the inside, the rules apply a little differently.
Yeah.
But then I read the title of the main text we're looking at. It's a sermon transcript from Pastor Hu Zikong, and the title is The Privilege God Did Not Grant.
It stops you in your tracks, doesn't it?
It really does. It sounds like a contractual exclusion.
Yeah.
And looking at the rest of our sources, we've got Warren Wiersbe, John Bevere's The Awe of God. It seems like the mission for this deep dive is to unpack this pretty unnerving idea.
It is.
That faith, while it gives you a lot, explicitly removes one specific privilege.
The privilege of getting away with it, of disobeying without consequences.
Which is just so counterintuitive. I think most people assume that being close to the boss buys you immunity. But this whole argument is the exact opposite. Proximity doesn't get you a pass. It increases the scrutiny.
That's the core tension. And to get it, you have to understand the central metaphor the source uses, this idea of being a sojourner.
Sojourner. That's an old word. What does it mean in this context?
It's basically a resident alien, a traveler. You're living in a country, but your citizenship, your real home, is somewhere else.
So the mistake is when we start acting like we're permanent residents here on Earth.
Exactly. You start forgetting your visa status. You're an ambassador, but you've gone native.
Okay, so where does this argument start? What's the foundation?
It all kicks off with one verse, 1 Peter 1.1cm, and the pastor just zeroes in on one word that changes everything.
Which one?
Impartial.
The verse says, if you address as Father the one who judges impartially according to each one's deeds. Wow. Yeah, putting Father and impartial judge in the same breath, that's a complicated mix.
It creates immediate tension, doesn't it? We love Father, that's warm, safe. Judge is cold, objective.
So what does impartial really mean here?
Well, the source pulls from Deuteronomy and Romans to say God doesn't play favorites, he isn't swayed by how things look, and this is the kicker, he cannot be bribed.
Hold on, bribed? Who's trying to bribe God? I mean, nobody's walking into prayer with an envelope of cash.
No, it's a moral bribe.
A moral bribe, what's that?
It's the idea that our past good deeds can pay for our present screw-ups. It's the person who thinks, okay, I messed up here, but look at my track record. 10 years in the church, I run the charity drive. Surely my credit covers this debit.
Ah, I see. It's the ledger system. I've built up enough good guy points to absorb a hit.
Exactly. We try to use our spiritual resume as currency, and the source just calls that a delusion. It has this one line, this obedience math that's just brutal.
What's the line?
Years of obedience cannot compensate for an hour of disobedience.
Wow. That feels incredibly harsh. I mean, in a human court, a lifetime of good service usually gets you a lighter sentence.
Right, but that's the key distinction Pastor Hu is making. It doesn't negate the relationship. It actually defines the relationship.
How so?
He says God doesn't pamper his children because he takes being a parent seriously. He points to Hebrews 12. The argument is, if you're a legitimate child, you get disciplined. If you're not getting disciplined,
Then maybe the parent doesn't really care.
Exactly. The lack of a get-out-of-jail-free card is the proof of parentage.
That's a complete reframe.
Yeah.
So if my kid is running toward a busy street, I'm not going to just gently call their name. I'm going to tackle them.
You're going to tackle them, not because you hate them, but because you are terrifyingly invested in their survival. So if God gave us the privilege of sinning without consequence, it would actually be a sign of indifference.
He'd be saying, I don't care enough to stop you from driving off that cliff.
Yes. But, I mean, even with that reframe, the text uses strong language. It says to conduct yourselves in fear. And that's the next big question, right? Are you supposed to be scared all the time?
Yeah, that doesn't sound like good news. It sounds like constant anxiety.
And that's where the source brings in John Bevere's book, The Awe of God. It's a callback to something the community had been studying.
Right, I saw that. Fear God, make you fearless. Sounds like a bumper sticker.
It does, but there's a critical distinction he makes between two types of fear. We can call them type A and type B.
Okay, what's type A?
Type A is the fear of a slave for a master. It's self-preservation. You're afraid of the punishment, afraid of getting hurt.
It's transactional terror.
Yeah.
Keep your head down, don't break the rules, don't get zapped.
Exactly. It's all avoidance. And the source says that is not what God wants.
So what's type B? How can fear be a good thing?
Type B is the fear of a son for a loving father. Imagine your dad is this incredible person who has sacrificed everything for you. You respect him immensely. If you're about to do something that you know goes against everything he stands for, you feel this fear, but it's not, he's gonna hit me.
It's, I can't bear to disappoint him. It's the fear of breaking that trust.
Yes, it's a relational fear, not a penal fear. It's reverence, awe. And the source makes a bold claim here. It says that specific kind of fear leads to joy and peace.
How does fear lead to peace? That's a paradox.
Because if your only fear is disappointing your father, you lose your fear of everything else. You're not afraid of getting caught or what people think. That reverence stops you from self-indulgence, not because you're scared of hell,
But because you love the father too much to settle for a cheap thrill.
it changes the motivation from, I can't do that, to, I don't want to do that.
That's a huge shift. But
Yeah.
we're so bad at this. We drift. We lose that sojourner mindset.
We do. We get comfortable. And the source gives us this tragic case study of what happens when that reverent fear is lost. It points us to the story of Lot.
Abraham's nephew. I know the basics, fire and brimstone. But the source really gets into the psychology of his choices.
It does, a character study. So you have Abraham and Lot. They're both super wealthy, so much livestock. Their guys are fighting over water.
That's a business problem.
Right. And Abraham, the elder, does this incredibly generous thing. He says, Lot, you choose first. You go left, I'll go right.
And this is the pivot point. The source focuses so much on what Lot saw.
Yes. Lot looks east. He sees the plain of Jordan, and the text says it's lush, well-watered. It looked like the Garden of Eden.
So he sees paradise, high property value, massive ROI. He's making a smart business move.
From a worldly perspective, absolutely. But that prime real estate included Sodom and Gomorrah.
Which were not exactly quiet suburbs.
No. The source sums up the culture as being driven by wine, sex, and wealth. Total immediate gratification.
And Lot takes the deal. But he doesn't move right in, does he?
No.
This is where the sojourner thing comes back.
This is the slippery slope. Pastor Hugh points out the progression. First, Lot chooses the direction. Then he pitches his tent near Sodom.
Still a sojourner.
Right. But then, eventually, he moves into Sodom. He trades the tent for a house. He stops being a traveler and becomes a resident, a citizen.
He integrated.
Yeah.
Figured he could live there, make money, and still be a good guy.
He assimilated. And the tragedy is that he was a righteous man. He didn't agree with it all. But by becoming a citizen, he lost his power. He lost his set-apart status.
And you see that at the end, right? When judgment comes, he tries to warn his family.
And they laugh at him. His sons-in-law think he's joking. Why? Because for years, he'd looked just like them. His lifestyle had contradicted his faith for so long. His warning was just a punchline.
And then the fire comes.
And everything he built, that Garden of Eden, it all just goes up like smoke. He forgot he was a guest.
Okay, but let's make this modern. I'm not living in ancient Sodom. I'm just trying to pay my mortgage. How does this apply now?
And the source anticipates that. It directly addresses the wine and wealth trap in a modern context.
So no nice things. We all have to live in tents.
No, and that's what's so good about the source. It's nuanced. It says there is nothing wrong with enjoying good food, abundance, family time. That's a blessing.
Okay, good. So where's the line?
The line is in the Bart. It's when enjoyment becomes gluttony or drunkenness, when the pursuit of money becomes about speculation, illegal means, or exploitation.
The greedy grasp.
Exactly. And the source is very direct about sex outside of marriage falling into that same trap. It's about what drives you, your appetites or the spirit.
Which connects to that idea of the shell. That part felt like it was aimed right at the modern religious person.
The Pharisee warning, yes. This is crucial.
So what's the shell?
It's having the outer appearance of a Christian. You go to church, you know the songs, you post the right quotes. From the outside, you look solid.
The optics are perfect.
Perfect. But the inner heart, the engine, lacks that awe, that reverent fear.
So you have the uniform, but you're not actually in the army.
Worse, you're an actor. The source uses the Greek root for hypocrite, which was an actor on a stage, someone wearing a mask.
An actor. So the challenge is, are you performing the role of a believer while your life is actually invested in the values of Sodom?
That's the question. And you can fool the audience, you might even fool yourself. But the impartial judge sees behind the mask.
And the shell offers no protection. It just gives you this false sense of security.
It's the most dangerous place to be.
So pulling it all together, the privilege God did not grant. It sounds negative, but it's actually protective.
It is. The privilege he didn't grant is the privilege to destroy yourself without him getting in the way. He'll disrupt your comfort to save your life.
The mindset then is that we're guests, we're sojourners.
Right. Enjoy the amenities, but don't get so attached to the furniture that you forget you have a real home somewhere else.
And remember, the management is watching, not to catch you, but to remind you who you are.
That's a great way to put it.
The source ends with a really specific call to action, doesn't it?
It does. Pastor Hugh talks about the upcoming weekend, a time of worship. And he challenges his listeners not just to show up, but to prepare their hearts before they get there.
Prepare the heart for worship. It's the antidote to the shell problem.
Right. Don't just show up and perform. If you cultivate that type B reverent fear, you're actually connecting. It's the difference between a mandatory meeting and a family reunion.
Which leads to that final provocative thought, that last question.
It just hangs in the air at the end of the text.
Lay it on us.
The pastor asks, if we only have the shell of faith but live like citizens of Sodom, how will we be able to stand before God and face his judgment?
That is the question. It's a challenge to evaluate if our fear is real reverence or just a performance.
It really is. The next time you feel that conviction, that discipline, maybe don't be annoyed. Maybe realize it's the privilege you didn't get, the privilege of being ignored, and be grateful you're being treated like a son.
The privilege of being disciplined. That turns the whole thing upside down. Thanks for walking us through this one. It's heavy, but the good kind of heavy.
My pleasure. It's always good to check the foundation.
Absolutely. And to you listening, thanks for joining us on the deep dive. We'll catch you next time.